You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. What is up, rookies, and welcome to the Upland Rookie Podcast. Episode 19 is about to drop, so get ready. First, I want to thank Yucca Nuba Premium Performance Dog Food. Cannot say enough good things about Yucca Nuba. Trinity Bretons, home of the Epinol Breton. Angels in the home and demons in the field. I can attest to that. And Pointer Traditions. Pointer Traditions bird straps are possibly the most durable bird straps currently on the market. Handmade in the US of A, these bird straps are made from a PVC coated webbing instead of leather. Yes, synthetic, baby. That's where it's at. No, check out Pointer Traditions, Trinity Bretons, and Yucca Nuba Sporting Dog. Thank you so much for your support. All right, guys, and don't forget about the giveaway that I'm doing with Cable Gangs and Brennan Landry over at Cable Gangs. Check out the Instagram post I made a few days ago. We are doing a straight giveaway. Follow all the instructions and the rules on that post on the Upland Rookie Podcast Instagram. So you're not going to want to miss that. It closes. I think we're announcing the winner. I think it's September 1st or September 2nd. I forget the date off the top of my head, but we will be announcing the winner here in just about 10 days. And do you know what else is coming up in 10 days? Yes, the Grouse Opener. It's coming, guys. It is coming. Grouse Opener 2021-22 season is about to drop. So I have my first hunt scheduled. I am going to be leaving here in 10 days for Nebraska. It's where I spent the opening of my season last year, and I just have been dreaming of the day to get back to Nebraska for the Grouse Opener. So really excited. I have some other plans to hit Colorado before my big trip in later September. And so, I'll talk more about my big September trip on another episode. Next month or so is going to be kind of crazy, to be honest. So September, I will still be getting a podcast out every week. That is my goal, at least. that is my commitment to you right now. But it's going to be a little crazy. I might be doing some of these intro recordings and maybe even some bonus episodes from the field when I'm meeting up with some buddies, hunting with them throughout September. So be patient with me. Be gracious. It might not be every Tuesday. We'll see. That schedule seems to really work well for dropping episodes, but again, just depending on the hunt schedule, Wi-Fi availability, all that kind of stuff, I will try my best to still get these out in a timely manner. Again, basically on the same day, same time that I've been doing it. So again, just have some crazy but cool travel plans coming up. And all you asking or wondering, like, how the heck are you going to travel and hunt? And you got 5 kids and a wife and a job and all that stuff. It's possible. It is possible with some creative planning, an awesome spouse that is supportive. That is the key to this. Use vacation days wisely, save them. It's possible. Again, but it all goes back to the supportive spouse. So I really thank my wife just for allowing me to take off for. I have 2 September trips planned. One's about a 4 or 5 day short one in the beginning, and then I'm going on about a 10 or 11 day trip later September. So could not be possible without an amazing wife who is holding down the fort, figuring out kids' school schedules, pickups, drop-offs, all that kind of stuff. So all that to say, guys out there, take care of your wives. Take care of your family first, obviously, so that you can, be gone, do some trips, do some hunting, do some scouting, whatever it might be. But take care of things on the home front. Make sure that is set before you take off. So I'm really pumped. September is going to be fun. Again, those 2 trips coming up, and I couldn't be more excited. So anyways, sorry if I sound a little sleepy. It's about 5:00 here in the morning in old Colorado. So just waking up still, but we're actually going to jump over to a listener question. I haven't done one of these in quite a while. Dug up some old listener questions that you guys wrote in a while back, and I had a good one here pulled up. Older dogs, is it better to hunt them in sprints, half days, or full days with rest? Justin asked that question. That is a good question. That's going to depend on the dog. It's going to depend on a couple factors, I think. The dog, its age, the heat, how hot it's outside. So I'll just give you my personal examples and kind of just my own thoughts on that. But so last year, Gage was 3.5 when I took him in September on his hunt. I hunted him extremely hard. He was my only dog I was hunting last year. It was warm. I hunted him 2 times a day. So we were doing a long morning hunt. We would come back and rest and chill at the campsite for a while, and then go back out in the evening for a much shorter burst, but maybe that was an hour and a half max, maybe 2 if we were lucky. So I don't count him as an older dog. Now this year he's 4.5, or no, sorry, last year. So his birthday's in August, so he was almost 3. He just turned 3 last year. This year he'll be 4. Okay, sorry, got my numbers right. So I don't count that as an old dog, but he's slower than he is now than he was when he was 2. I mean, there's no doubt there. So just be smart in how you're hunting your dogs, how much you're running them. I think you can control heat exhaustion. There's a lot of factors you can't control out in the field. So just be smart, watch your dogs. Make sure they're getting the proper nutrition. So my dogs are on Eukanuba 30-20 premium performance, and a bowl of that, a couple hours after a hunt, that's going to give them that energy, repair those muscles, get the good joint support going on. That's going to help them be ready to hit the field the next day. So, much older than that dog, I can't personally speak for that or to that a lot. I know my buddy Matt Harrell, he's running 2, I would say older dogs. I think they're 10 and 11 or 11 and 12 maybe. Those dogs, I hunted with them last year. You'll definitely notice that second day they're a little slower. So I should say, when they start that first field that next morning after a hunt, they're guns a-blazing, but they're going to slow down quicker. So I mentioned this last week's episode. After a long hunt, make sure they're getting plenty of fluids. Make sure they're getting plenty of water. I even put water in their food at the hotel or the campsite for their dinner that night. I'm making sure they're getting water in their food. It's not Gage's favorite. He's a little slower, which is probably good. But it's just ensuring that he's getting that, staying hydrated as well as getting the nutrition that he needs to get his body recovered and ready to hit the field the next day. So I am feeding my dogs. So when they hunt, they're eating once a day. I don't feed them in the morning before hunt. I have had a dog puke. I fed him maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours before hunt back in the day when I didn't know any better. And he, just got sick, and it was a mess. So, my dogs are eating once a day right now. So that schedule will continue when we start hunting season. So when they go out and hunt, or when they get up in the morning, we go hit a field, hit the prairie. They're not eating that morning anyways. They're going to eat dinner that night. So that's kind of the schedule we're on. Do what works for you. There's different studies and research on feeding twice a day, once a day. Just go with what works for you. I asked a couple different vets and got a couple different answers. So again, just do what you think works for you, because there's no consistent information out there. But anyways, that's kind of my thoughts for resting a dog. If if you're older, so I go back to my buddy Matt. We hunted with his 2 GSPs. They're much older. There were a couple more fields that we either just put gauge down and just left those dogs in the truck, even resting them a field. So we were pheasant hunting, so we were jumping from field to field. Even giving them a couple field break throughout the day was a huge help. It just helped them. They just couldn't bounce from field to field to field and keep going all day long. We just had to be a little smarter with them. We had to, pick and choose. Hey, this might work better for them. Let's rest them now a couple, maybe an hour, and then put them back down. So you might just have to get creative. It's not going to be a cookie cutter approach where, day on, day off, whatever it might be. We all love hunting with our dogs. I love nothing more than hunting over my own dogs. So there's always that temptation of wanting to put your dogs on the ground no matter what, no matter if they're tired. But we do have to be smart as well. There's going to be times this year that I'm going to just want to run win or just want to run gauge or gunner or maybe some combos there. I got multiple dogs to have dog power so that I could hunt longer, keep the dogs fresh. So this year might look a little different for me because I have multiple dogs. I might run one dog, hard for an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning, go back to the truck, get another dog, put him down. I don't know exactly my strategy yet. I'm still figuring that out, but come up with what works for you. It's not going to be the same for every person. You might have one dog, you might have 5 dogs. I don't know what your situation is. So just do what works for you, experiment. But first field, first prairie, whatever, that first walk of the season, it is so hard to leave a dog in the truck. It is so hard to say, all right, I'm taking you, but not you. So I don't know what I'm going to do personally, but yeah, all that to say, do what works for you guys. So anyways, if you have a listener question, if you have a topic that you'd like me to discuss, please write it in here to the podcast. I would love to just share my thoughts, experience. Again, I am no professional, but I will again, it's fun just talking through these things. These are a variety of topics, different ideas and things that we're all working through and all have some similarities around. So, hey, one thing I have not mentioned on the podcast in quite a while is leaving an Apple podcast review. Guys, the algorithm gods, as I call them, of Apple, for the podcast, they highly are dependent on written reviews and 5-star ratings. If you would do me a favor, if you have not done a review in the past, if you would go over to Apple Podcast, leave a star rating review. 5 would be amazing. But leave a little comment in the review section. What you love about the podcast, what you've learned from it, how you find value in the podcast. That would mean so much. That's just going to mean that this podcast is going to pop up higher in the search feed when someone's looking for a hunting podcast or upland podcast or whatever that might be. It's going to help reach more hunters just like you. So that would mean a lot to me if you would go over and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. So I know there's a lot of other platforms out there that y'all are listening to. That's amazing. That's great. But Apple is very dependent on those reviews. So I appreciate that, guys. Other than that, don't forget about the giveaway I'm doing with Cable Gangs and Brennan Landry. You're going to get a 2 or a 3 dog Cable Gang system. I just set mine up in my backyard again the other night. Put the dogs out there, fed them dinner on the Cable Gang. We're going to be using that a lot in Nebraska and as I hunt throughout September here. So just getting them more comfortable on it, eating dinner, getting them water, and, keeping them in the shade and all that good stuff. So really fun system. Hey, don't forget to, if you're picking up any products from Dakota 283, use my promo code TUR10 for 10% off your order with Dakota 283. New kennel you're picking up, Dine and Dash watering system. Water is super important heading into the warmer hunting months, as well as Onyx Hunt. If you're not rocking Onyx Hunt, use my promo code TUR20 for 20% off your Onyx Hunt subscription. Guys, this is a must. This North Dakota, I know, just came out with the new layer. in Onyx of seeing what is electronically posted or not. So that's a game changer for North Dakota. I know they went through some changes up there with land access, and so now landowners are able to post their property electronically, saying if you cannot hunt it. Before, if it wasn't posted, you could just hunt it. So some changes there. Onyx really has helped figure that out very quickly. So that's been pretty cool. I know a lot of people were stressing on what that would look like, but Onyx came through, made it happen. So anyways, check all that out, guys. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you right now. We're going to jump in. I got Anthony Grimaldi. I think I'm saying your name right, man. On the podcast today. He is down in Georgia. Originally, he lived near me in Colorado, actually. Anthony and I have a great conversation. He's got a couple puppies that were just born when we recorded this. So he just loves bird dogs. He loves bringing the best out of the breed, breeding for success. So it's a really fascinating conversation with Anthony. Don't mind, there is some puppy noise in the background. It happens time to time. Even my dogs will get a little whiny, I guess you could say, throughout some episodes I record. So apologize for that. I'm not sure if you can hear it real bad or not. But anyways, we're going to jump into episode 19 with Anthony Grimaldi. Thanks so much.
It's a new dog. You got her, a week or two ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe 8 days ago now. So yeah, we picked her up last weekend, and she's been a blast, man.
From the picture, she's a pretty dog.
She is. She really is. Mostly all white, a little bit of orange on the tail and head, and that's just personal preference for me. I like the more white Brits, and
yeah.
She's great. She's the really cool thing about her, at least I'm noticing right now, is I'm not exaggerating. When she's in the house, she is like, she'll give hugs and cuddle and totally different dog. Which my kids love, my wife loves. And then out in the field, man, she reminds me of Gage, my older one, because she's hauling butt out there. So right now, best of both worlds. See if it keeps up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's nice when you can get that.
Say that one more time.
I said, yeah, it's nice when you can get that.
Yes, definitely. So it's always that sweet spot combo, but.
Yeah.
Well, dude, hopefully we can replicate that first episode again, because that was pretty awesome.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Absolutely. Awesome, dude. Well, Anthony, tell me a little bit about yourself. Just introduce people, put us on a map. Where are you right now?
I am in West Georgia right now. Let's say roughly an hour west of Atlanta, pretty much on the Georgia-Alabama state line.
Very cool. Very cool. And so I'm talking to you from Colorado. You actually used to live in Colorado. Is that right?
I did. Yeah. I spent about 4 years in Colorado. Let's see, the first 2 of those years down in Fort Collins, and last 2, about an hour and a half northwest of Fort Collins, pretty much on the Wyoming state line there.
Okay. So you were way up there.
Yeah.
You're way up there. Awesome. And I guess we'll kind of jump off there. I know you and I, we talked before a little bit, and you actually harvested, correct me if I'm wrong, you harvested a Colorado Chucker and a Colorado ptarmigan. Is that correct?
Not ptarmigan. No, I know that ptarmigan in the state of Colorado. I had all intentions of hunting ptarmigan in Colorado last year, and the Cameron Peak wildfire kind of blew through that area where I had seen ptarmigan in the past, and that kind of did away with those plans.
Gotcha. Okay, that can be a damper for sure. But talk about Colorado Chucker, because I don't think it's not really a thing here. I mean, they're here, I've heard.
Yes.
But talk about how you kind of stumbled across them.
Okay. Yeah, they are in the state of Colorado. They are kind of few and far between. I believe that, most of the chucker in the state of Colorado are going to be in the western part of the state, like far western part of the state. But, with me being in Fort Collins, there was a river that I was fishing west of there, kind of out in the mountains, the Poudre River. And went out there one afternoon. I was like, that's about the steepest slope that I can find. I'm going to see how quickly I can make it to the top of that thing. Did that. I took my Brittany with me. But I did that and I got to the top, flushed a chucker. I couldn't believe it. To my knowledge, there were not chucker in that area. And this was in the middle of the summer. So I knew I was going to have to wait a few months to get out there on September 1st. And I actually spoke with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and they said, no, there are no chucker in that area. They said, we bought 100 and some odd birds from the state of Utah and tried to introduce a population of chucker in that Poudre Canyon. They said, but they didn't take. And they said, we banded every bird that we release. So if you kill a bird up there, it's going to be banded, and it will be, a bird that was, that was able to make it up there. And that introduction effort happened, I don't know, 6 or 7 years prior to whenever I went up there. And I went up there on September 1st, opening day of chucker season in Colorado, killed the chucker, and it wasn't a banded bird. So obviously, chucker are there and they are reproducing.
That's awesome, man. That's probably not a lot of people have done that in the state of Colorado. I'm sure there's a good handful, but that's just not something you hear about very often.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And you did quite a bit of blue grouse hunting here while you were here, weren't you?
I did. Yeah, I did. I don't want to say I made that a priority, but I did, get after the blues.
Okay.
Quite a bit. And, the last 2 years that we were there, we were living at, roughly 9,000 foot in the mountains. So that was kind of our, it was the closest bird that we had to work with there.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you call them blue grouse or dusky grouse?
Blue grouse.
Blue. Okay. Okay. I know there's some different.
Yeah. You can't make me call them dusky.
Which came first?
I know that, what's that?
What were they originally? Was it first dusky and then they changed it to blue?
No, they were blue. So dusky and city grouse were both lumped under blue grouse. And they ended up, splitting those into two distinct populations.
Gotcha. And is you said sooty grouse? Is that that's totally different from the blue grouse? Or is that the same thing?
Genetically very similar. But I guess, there are genetic differences. There are, I guess they wouldn't have, split those populations.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Let's start a little bit from the beginning. Tell me a little bit of your story. How'd you get into upland hunting, bird dogs, all that good stuff? Why don't you start? Did you grow up doing this? Tell us a little bit of your story.
No, I definitely didn't grow up with bird dogs, but I did grow up hunting. Started hunting when I was, 8 or 9 years old, 22, single shot, 16 gauge. I'd get off the bus and go shoot rabbits or dove or, whatever it may be, whatever was in season at the time. And, but I didn't grow up with bird dogs, and went to the military after high school. Got done with that, and, needed something new, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I said, hey, let's do bird dogs.
Okay.
So I got Brittany, and that dog and I have been, just about all over the country, and we've hunted just about everything other than desert quail together. And got him first. And let's see, a year or two ago, I started acquiring a few setters. And now I've got a Brittany, a pointer, and 3 setters with 2 or 3 more on the way in the next few weeks.
Okay. Right on. Are all those, are all those breeds, do you just kind of want to just try a little bit of everything, see what you liked, or what's kind of your philosophy behind that all?
I did. Yeah. I kind of wanted to, find the dog, the breed that was the right fit for me. And, since I didn't grow up, with bird dogs since I didn't grow up, in the upland hunting community. I didn't know what that was. So, went through a few breeds, and I don't believe that I'll buy another Brittany. Don't hate me for saying that.
Not at all. Not at all.
And at this point, I've been through a few setters, and I've got a few right now. But I'm really leaning on the pointers right now. And I think that will probably be the way that I end up going.
Nice. I was just going to ask you to, someone with firsthand experience between three of those breeds, and they're pretty popular breeds when you think about bird dogs. Mm-hmm. Just give us your kind of a breakdown real quick of the three breeds. Like, what are some of the characteristics and traits that you kind of like in each of them, and what kind of sets them apart?
Okay. I guess we'll start with the Brittany. What I really like about the Brittany, and my Brittany in particular, is that, he excels in retrieving, he excels in hunting dead. But, he doesn't cover enough ground for me. And, whenever, when I was living out west and, hunting prairie and this and that, I kind of said, I need a dog with a little more run. And I knew that I'd find that, in some of these field bred setters and the pointer. Setter, an all around nice dog. They are known for their, on and off switch. And, I do appreciate that. I wouldn't say that, at least mine do not excel in retrieving.
And they're not typically known for that, right?
No, they're not known for it. But people will say, 1 in 3 setters will retrieve this or that, whatever. And I can't speak on that. But I'll tell you that, the dogs that I've had, granted, some of them are, absolutely nuts about it. And some, you shoot a bird over them and they're going to look at it for a few seconds and they're going to move up and go find another bird to point. With my pointer, I really like my pointer. She's a simple and she's an honest dog. She just wants to run and find birds. My setters are super intelligent, almost too intelligent at times. They're kind of, trying to poke holes in you, trying to find your weak points, and, testing the boundaries a little bit to where, I don't see that in my pointer, and I don't see, haven't seen that in, pointers that I've seen, but, with my pointer, she's a simple dog. She wants to run and find birds, and what else should a dog do,
Exactly. Is retrieving high on your list for how you hunt, or is it kind of lower on the list what you look for?
I don't place a great deal of importance on it. It's something that I appreciate when I have it. But if I've got, my Brittany and, these continental breeds are kind of known to, run with a, lower head, with their head kind of dragging the ground. And my Brittany's guilty of that for sure. And, that's not where the scent's riding. The scent's not riding an inch above the ground where my Brittany's nose is. So I have to believe that he's missing birds that, my setters and my pointer, who are running, with a high head, have to believe that he's missing those birds. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've seen you have quite a few dogs, right? Do you kind of you like to get a few dogs, evaluate them, kind of see what works for you best? Because I think you have a couple setter pups right now, right?
What's that?
You have a couple setter pups right now you're checking out?
Yeah, I have 3 right now, and I have 2 or 3 more coming in the next few weeks. But yeah, I like to find these really, really well-bred pups from breedings that, make sense, not only on paper, but, from, taking this dog to that dog. So yeah. And, when I find those breedings, I like to bring in as many of those dogs as I can. From there, I brought in 3, just a few weeks ago. Sold 1, within a matter of 2 weeks or so. I just knew that, she wasn't going to be a dog that, she wasn't what the other two were.
Okay.
And I've still got two. I've made the decision on the one that I'm going to keep. I just made it available recently.
Nice.
Yeah, I like to bring in as many as I can. I kind of think about it as if I want to win the lottery, the more lottery tickets that I buy, the greater my odds. So yeah, and that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to win the lottery. I'm looking to, find that once in a lifetime, like truly special dog.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a really cool strategy. So when I picked up Win, she was, so Jeff, who he was evaluating two pups, and he kept one and sold the other one. And it's a kind of a fascinating strategy. I don't think a lot of people realize that. If you have the opportunity to do that, I think that's cool, because you can really see two dogs, same age or similar age, side by side. And I think that's where kind of what you're getting at is, and what you're looking for is really that natural instinct, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Across the spectrum.
That's fascinating. So yeah. Love it, man. So it sounds like you're a pointer guy. Kind of you're leaning that way.
I'm starting to lean that way. I really like the pointer that I have right now. I really like a lot that I've seen, within the last year or two. And granted, they're nice dogs.
Yeah, no, they're beautiful. They're beautiful dogs.
Every breed, but I'm starting to feel and starting to see that the pointer is the dog for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you doing a lot of big country, like open prairie hunts, or what are you hunting most right now?
So this year is going to look very different from years of past for me. Last year, my dogs and I hunted 9. I added it up the other day. 109 different species of wild birds. This year, so my wife and I have a little one coming late September.
Nice.
So this season is going to look very different from seasons past. I'm still going to do everything that I can to get my dogs into wild birds as often as I can. But, with me being in Georgia now, quail's the name of the game. So I foresee a mini of early mornings headed down to South Georgia. I think we're going to do North Carolina this year as well. And I'm looking at either Montana or North Dakota for, say, the last 2 weeks of August and maybe the first few days of September, so that I can get back before the little guy gets here.
Oh, definitely, man. You got your priorities right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So with Georgia quail, I mean, that's kind of all I've heard about as far as birds down there that they have. Is it pretty much all plantation, like pay to hunt, or are there true public lands that you can just walk on and start hunting?
There are public lands in South Georgia. Most of the majority of the quail in the state are going to be on those privately owned plantations. There are wild quail on state lands here. Most of those birds are going to be, excuse me, on wildlife management areas that are, quota hunts. And then there are going to be a few WMAs open that might hold a few birds here and there. But I think for the most part, most of the birds are going to be on those privately owned plantations.
Gotcha. And just curious, so those privately owned plantations, is that like they have a website you go on, you can book a hunt, or is it you kind of have to know someone or go knock on their door to get on?
With the plantations?
Yeah.
I think most of them, most that are doing it right, most that are doing it right, are not, extending themselves to the public.
Gotcha. Okay. So a little bit more tight knit.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I would think, but I was curious kind of how it runs down there.
Yeah. There are, obviously there are, a ton, and a ton of plantations in the South, to where you can pay to play.
Sure.
But there are a lot down here that, are managed for themselves.
Yeah, right on, man.
Yeah.
Let's jump back to blue grouse a little bit. It's definitely a bird I'm pretty fascinated with myself. I don't think it gets a lot of attention in the upland world. Just talk about kind of a general way to hunt them. What do you look for? What elevation do you need to be at? You're probably the person I've talked to most that has maybe hunted them the most that I've talked to. Just give the listeners a little bit of insight on, hey, if they want to go chase them this year, what would a hunt look like for them?
So blue grouse are a really interesting and underrated bird. They really are. If you're going to hunt blue grouse, if you are going to hunt them, do it as soon as possible. As early in the year as you can. I believe that opens in Colorado September 1st. That early in the year, you're probably going to find broods still together. They're probably going to be close to water, because where there is water, there is grass. Where there is grass, there are insects. That's something that I would key on early in the year. Last year was a really dry year. So there was no water, and there weren't, because of that, there wasn't the grass. Because of that, there weren't the insects. So last year I was really finding them in, raspberry, blueberry, rosehip, stuff like that. So I think, depending on, what the conditions are for that year, I would focus on, one or the other.
Gotcha. And earlier in the year, is it true that they start lower elevation and then climb as the season goes on?
Yeah. I think that's what makes blue grouse as unique as they are, is that, they are true reverse migrators, and that, they'll come down into the foothills in the spring, to mate and to nest. And then they gradually make their way, higher up in elevation, throughout the year. And, when snow starts to hit, they're 10,000 foot in the mountains. They're hanging out in a tree, and they're eating conifer needles. So that's why I say to do it earlier in the year rather than later, because if they're not leaving the tree, you and your dog both are, going to have a really hard time finding those birds.
That sounds like it. Are you mostly finding them along? I mean, if you find a trail, a logging road, dirt road, are you finding them along there, or are you just getting into the thick stuff and just trekking through?
Like I said, in years where, water is available, I'm focusing on that. And that's generally going to be, down in the bottom of canyons or, something like that. I've found them off of logging roads and stuff like that in the past, but not in very high concentrations. I found them there a lot in the spring, drumming, but not nearly as often as I would in the fall. Water and food, and if there isn't water there, I had the luxury last year of living in blue grouse country. I'd walk every afternoon with a dog or two. Where I found them, I dropped a pin and I showed back up September 1st.
There you go. I think you mentioned to me, you don't get maybe great dog work off them. Is that right?
No. They're kind of tough for dogs to get pinned, where they like to spend their time down in the bottom of those canyons and this and that, to where the wind can get really swirly, and stuff like that. It kind of makes it tough for a dog. And you hear, bow hunters, hikers, people like this, say, they're the dumbest bird in the world. And that's so untrue. But when you think about it, these birds have evolved out in the mountains in the absence of humans. We're not on their, to look out for list. Because of that, they're not overly concerned about a human. But when you put a dog on the ground that closely resembles a coyote or a wolf, the game changes. And I think that most people who have hunted blue grouse with dogs will tell you that they're not the stupid bird that, some people may talk about.
Yeah. It's a pretty common theme. You hear people just say, yeah, they're dumb. They'll sit right there for you. Are they not necessarily, do they run maybe like a pheasant, or is their escape just to fly up into a tree?
No, they won't run. They'll hold tight. They'll hold really tight. And yeah, they'll hold tight and generally fly downslope. But I've seen them a lot of times just pitch up, into the closest tree, and they'll hang tight there.
That's cool. Definitely on my list to actually chase. Elk hunting last year in Colorado. I think it was third rifle season, and I scared the crap out of me. I was walking along the road. I took a quick stop. I stood there for a second, and these two blue grouse just out of the tree had to have been maybe 10 feet from me and just erupt. And
yeah,
I won't forget that. But
they're large birds. They're thunderous when they do take the wing, and they are downright delicious birds as well.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. In my experience, blue grouse and rough grouse are going to be
top of
the list for me. Yeah,
interesting.
For sure.
Okay, very interesting. Have you chased sage grouse yet? I mean, when you were up near Wyoming?
Yeah, well, I did last year. I didn't do it in Wyoming. I did it in North Park, Colorado, close to Walden, and had a fantastic hunt. They offer a very short 2-day season there for sage grouse. And I went out there and took advantage of that and ended up killing a few nice bombers.
Right on. That's awesome. Is it kind of like, I haven't chased sage grouse yet. Is it kind of what they say it is? Just this open sea of sage and
absolutely, yeah.
Terrain goes and all that.
It is. Yeah. Which, for me, being, last year being very new to sage grouse, I had no idea what I was looking for. I was just walking. And I, ended up walking 12, 13 miles before I stumbled into them. But when I did, the dogs had the opportunity to get some nice work done, and I had the opportunity to get a little shooting done.
That's great, man. That's got to be a really good feeling.
Absolutely, yeah.
After that many miles, that pays off at the end for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Hey, on your it's kind of interesting to me. I think it's on your email signature. You have AEA Land and Farm Management. Why don't you talk a little bit about what is all that?
It's a land management company that I started, I'd say a year ago. Whenever I graduated from college, got a ecology degree, and figured, hey, I might need to use this thing. And had worked for the government in the past, and I wasn't eager to do that again with a state or federal agency. So I kind of went out on my own and did that.
That's awesome. So do you basically do just like private consulting with like farmers, landowners, things like that? And what kind of things are you actually doing with them?
Yeah, both. Farmers, ranchers, private landowners on, small and, larger scales. What I do, varies greatly from, here in Georgia to, say, Colorado, Wyoming, or somewhere like that. Idaho. But, a common theme that I'm seeing is people want me to manage their invasive species, whether that be, vegetative species or feral hog. A lot of people in the grass or in the West are, fed up with the cheatgrass. They want to do something about that. Kind of seeing that to be a common theme. And, since I've moved back to the Southeast, people hate their kudzu as much as folks in the West hate their cheatgrass. So I'm kind of, starting to see that, people are wanting help managing that as well. But, I do some, habitat management or habitat improvement projects as well. And it's really, hey, what do you want to do with your land here? What's your goal? And we come up with a plan to help you achieve that goal.
That's fascinating. And do you kind of have I'm guessing with your education background, so if someone calls you from the state of Washington and then someone calls you from Georgia, do you have big enough knowledge base where you can kind of know different species of invasive species that you're dealing with, or do you cover certain regions?
No, I generally have to do a little bit of research. And even if I'm fairly certain that I know the right course of action to take, I'm still gonna do a little bit of research, just to confirm that, I am right before I take someone's money and, come out on their properties, spraying this herbicide or, doing this or that.
Right on. Do you get many people, say a rancher, a landowner call you up and say, hey, I want to manage for upland birds specifically? Do you get a lot of those calls, or is it really just those calls?
No.
Hey, I got cheatgrass. How do I deal with it?
A lot of the stuff that I'm doing is, on a, fairly small scale. I'm seeing that, a lot of these, ranchers have thousands of acres, and, they're fourth, fifth, sixth generation ranchers. They know how they've done stuff for, the last 50, 60 years of their life, and they're not going to change now, and I think the same could be said for, these people, down in South Georgia or South Alabama, who, had this plantation, and, that plantation's been in, the hands of their family for 4, 5, 6 generations. They know what they're doing. Those aren't the people that, would really benefit from, what I have to offer. They have more experience, managing their landscape than I do. So I'm not going to come in and tell them they need to do this or that or change this or that.
Yeah, right on, man. How was Montana for you last year? Did you get up there?
No, I didn't make it to Montana last year. Last year I did Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, Nebraska, and that may have been it for last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That was it for last year.
Right on. How was Kansas for you? Because Kansas kicked my butt last year.
It did mine as well. I saw a few birds. Not as many as I'd seen in Kansas in the past. But Kansas is Kansas.
They'll always have birds.
They will always have birds, and it'll always be a place on, my to hit for the year list.
Absolutely. How do you talk to me about your dog's training a little bit? What are you working on this summer with your dogs? Getting them ready. I know hunting will look a little different for you this year with a baby coming up, but what are you kind of working on with your dogs?
With the puppies or the older dogs?
Let's go both. How about puppies first?
Okay, with the puppies, I've got 2 behind me that you've probably heard yapping.
a little bit.
Since we started this, and thankfully they have calmed down a little bit. With the little puppies that I have right now, it's, I focus a lot on socialization early, taking them here, there, and everywhere, exposing them to this, that, and everything. Everything. I try to expose them, in the first 16 to 20 weeks of their life to everything that I would expect my bird dog to encounter throughout their life. So with these little puppies, at, between 8 to, 10 weeks old, depending on, how bold that dog is, moving around the yard, I'm going to expose them to pin race quail. From there, move into pigeons with launchers. From there, try to get the gun under them. And, I'm not asking or expecting, anything from them, when it comes to bird work, at that age, and not for quite a while after that. I really like to give my dogs, their first year to knock, chase, and, do whatever they want to. I want them to love hopping in the truck, riding down the road, getting cut loose, and, hunting, field, and finding birds.
Right.
With the older dogs, I'm starting to break my pointer right now. I started to break her 2 or 3 months ago. Put 50 some odd posts under, pulled her off from there. Blowing her around the yard. From there, we moved into stop to flush. Just about done with stop the flush, and from there we'll go into backing, and then she'll get the opportunity to start pointing birds again.
Right on. That's awesome, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going through probably about 3/4 of the way through the breaking process with Gage right now, my oldest one, and it's been going good. This past weekend, he's kind of showed me we just need to do a little bit more groundwork, a little bit more on the command lead. When I toss a couple birds, he's had a couple episodes now where he gets a little happy feet and just gets all excited, and so a little bit more groundwork.
I think you can't do too much of it.
Yeah,
you can't do too much yard work. Something can't be. Your dog can't have too good of an understanding of woe before take them out there and expect them to stand there and stick the bird.
Exactly. So a little bit more yard work and toss a couple more birds on the woe post, and then we'll hopefully graduate onto the next phase. But a quick question on stop to flush. So with stop to flush, walk me through that a little bit. So you're kind of walking the dog along, toss a bird, and are you applying pressure for them to stop, or are you in the initial phase when you start that?
I am, yeah. As soon as they as soon as they acknowledge that bird, they're getting stimulation, and from there, I'll ask them to stop, and I expect them to stand there, and I'll walk out in front of them, kick around, maybe throw another bird, and still expect them to stand there with all 4 feet in the same place that they were.
Okay, so that timing's got to be really quick. It sounds like, because if you're walking with them, toss a bird, then you got to make sure, okay, dog acknowledges the bird, a little bit of pressure, get them to stop. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, timing is everything, when it comes to these dogs. And what I'll do, a lot of time, put check cord on the dog, and, I'll put a few launchers out in the field. Let's see, that would be downwind of the dog. Sorry, I've got crossed up right now. Where the dog cannot smell the bird, never gets the opportunity to smell the bird. And I'll pop that bird, and I'm wooing that dog as soon as I see that dog acknowledge that bird.
Gotcha.
I may have another launcher, maybe 2 out there. I'll have birds in the bag, and when I stop that dog, I may walk up there, kick around a little bit, throw another bird, release the dog, and then we'll move on to the same or a similar scenario from there.
Okay, right on. Yeah. Getting close with Gage, getting close. It's been fun though. It's been something fun to work on in the summer. Last year, I force fetched him. Just wanted to, he didn't really have any interest in retrieving. And early on, I think I've talked about this before on the podcast. I put a huge emphasis on dogs retrieving when I was first starting out. And the more I'm into this now, it's become a little bit more important for me. If they retrieve, the nice thing now is I can throw a bumper in the water, let them swim for a little bit, get them in there in hot weather. So it's kind of a perk there. But out in the field, I mean, I don't know. For me, I've just lost the importance of retrieving the hand. I know some AKC tests maybe require it and all that, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things for me. I try to match my dog to the cover. I'm not going to go hunt pheasants and cattails with, say, my pointer or, a setter. It's not the right tool for the job. And if I were to kill a bird, over one of these dogs that doesn't want to get in there and hunt dead and, pick up that bird and bring it back to me, I'm not getting that bird back. I just killed the bird, and the bird's going to sit and rot out there, and I'm not cool with that. But say, I go hunt wheat stubble, like, okay, cool. I'm going to find that bird, whether that dog picks it up, whether he runs to it or not, whether he picks it up or not, I'm going to find that bird. That bird's going to go in the bag, and that bird's going to come home with me. So, I do try to, match the dog to the cover. I think there's a right tool for every job. And that's, saying that, I am starting to get cocker or springer curious.
There you go.
I do want to have the right tool in the job when I load up the truck and drive 14, 16, 18, 20 hours away from the house, and I get there and I'm like, oh man, that's a, beautiful little cattail slough there, but I don't have the right tool for it. So I guess we'll move on to the next, field of CRP or, to the next wheat stubble or whatever it may be,
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Anthony, so you talked a little bit about how you kind of got into hunting and all that. when it comes to, just working dogs, gaining knowledge and stuff, did you have a mentor in your life that kind of helped you kind of get started in this, or all like the training stuff you're doing with your dogs, all that? Did you just kind of figure it out on your own?
A little bit.
Oh, I was just asking about, so the training aspect with your dogs, just upland hunting in general, did you have a mentor, or how'd you kind of pick this stuff up on your own? Like, okay, how'd you learn how to break a dog? How'd you learn how to do all these things?
So I've had a few, and I've learned, through trial and error as well. And I've been really fortunate, to have some, very, very kind guys that, will allow me to, come out to their place with my dogs and, teach me this or teach me that, or, answer the phone whenever I call with, this question or that question or whatever it may be. But, I think that sometimes you just got to get out there and figure it out. And, I don't think that a guy should figure out how to force fetch a dog, without the help of someone, or, how to break a dog, if they don't have, the experience or the right support system in place. But, there are certainly things that, a guy can learn through, trial and error.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you dabble in any field trials with your dogs, or putting them through any kind of testing process?
No, I haven't in the past. I am curious. And I think that it's something that I'm going to start to dip my toes into this year, with an organization here in the South called Southern Bird Hunters Association. And I actually spent the weekend with those guys and got to meet Bud Moore. And
oh, nice.
I mean, you talk about mind blowing. You get around a guy like that, for a guy like me, and I'm like, I don't know a single thing about birds compared to a guy like that, But yeah, back on track. I am, I'm going to give it a try. Whether it's right for me or not, we'll have to find out. But at the end of the day, for me, I place, the most importance on a wild bird dog.
That's awesome. Well, I'm kind of curious, Bud Moore.
Come on. All right. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good. All right. Jumping back in. Here we go. I'm kind of curious so Bud Moore, that's a pretty cool person you got to hang out with this weekend. What's this one thing you might have walked away with learning from him, if you got much time with him?
Bud places a lot of importance on barrel work very early in a dog's life. He's putting pups on a barrel as soon as they can stand up. And, I guess his, wouldn't say his reliance on the barrel, but his use of the barrel that early in a dog's life was definitely, something that I picked up. And, I learned a ton from him over the weekend. And if I took in 5% of, what he said or what he told me over the weekend, I'm going to be a better dogman for it. But most of I just stood there with my mind blown for, 2 days straight, around him.
Sure. That's gotta be a little bit of an overload of information, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for 2 reasons. One, because, the guy's got 65 years worth of experience with bird dogs. He's learned from Farrell Miller and, Delmer Smith. What better guys could you learn from about bird dogs? But yeah, it was a pretty great experience.
Absolutely. Are you already doing barrel work, or are you, cause that's more of a Hickox method. Is that right? And Smith is more whoa post kind of method?
I don't believe, and I'm not super familiar with the Hickox method. I believe he teaches whoa on boards.
Of boards, okay. A platform.
Similar to like a place board, an object placed on the ground with a, fairly low profile. I believe that's how George is or was teaching, whoa. Obviously the Smiths are, known for their use of the post. And I, me personally, I put my dogs up on a sawhorse. It's got a 2x6 plank on the top. I'll put them up there, style them up. And, I don't think that I'm teaching whoa there. I'm certainly not proving it. But for me, it's, getting those dogs up there and getting them comfortable with me putting my hands on them, more than anything. After seeing Bud, work his magic on the barrel, for the last 2 days, over the weekend, it's something that I'm considering. But, for me, I don't have the luxury of, at least yet, of, having these puppies at 10 days old when they can, just stand up and, put them on a barrel then.
Sure. I think you said something really important there, kind of how you're using even the sawhorses, getting your hands on the dogs. I was actually listening to, I think it was the newest Project Upland podcast today. I think Ryan Mulcahy of Born to Run Kennels, he was talking about one of the biggest things he sees sometimes in client dogs that he gets in is dogs that just don't want to be touched, or, if you try to grab them by the collar, bring them somewhere, that can be just a big issue, big setback. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. In the last year or so, I've seen a ton of dogs, and I don't want to call the pointer guys out, but I think that, a lot of the, kind of old school pointer guys are, kind of guilty of not doing very much with their dogs for, say, the first year of their life. And these guys, finally pull them out of the kennel, when they're a year old, and these dogs are not well socialized, and they're not used to having people put their hands on them, or, this or that. And, I see these dogs and I can't imagine, trying to clean that dog's ears or trying to trim that dog's nails. And, for me, I want these pups to accept my touch at a really early age.
Yeah.
And to learn to crave it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a good thing that they want that. Mm-hmm. That's what I notice about Wynn right now is she's way more than Gage ever was. She wants that touch. She wants to be near you, touch, pet, and she's 6 months old and she'll stand there and just, stroke her back. And I'm not wooing her or anything. She wants that touch. She likes it. Gage at that age, he's a little more, all over the place once they run around, but it's funny to see the difference in those dogs.
Definitely. And I've got a pup that's, sounds pretty, similar to, that female that you're talking about, in that, if I sit down in the yard here, she's gonna run up to me. She's going to lay down right beside me. She's going to, crawl over me. She wants that touch. But a littermate of hers done everything the same exact way, with her that I have her littermate, but I cut her loose. She runs through the field and she starts hunting by herself. And, that's, is what it is. But, I don't want a dog that's, overly independent or, starting to do stuff on and for themselves,
sure.
At a really early age.
Sure. Yeah. You want a little bit of dependency on you. It's a team effort again, right? Definitely.
Yeah. But, that pup that I'm talking about that, that I'm pretty fond of, if I sit down in the yard, she's going to hang out there right beside me. But when, we walk down to the bird field, she's just as much of, running around covering as much ground and, looks just as good as the other dog that, runs off and does her own thing and gives me the middle finger.
What kind of range are you getting out of your pointers and your setters specifically? Your adult ones?
I don't like to say that I want a 300-yard dog, or I want a 500-yard dog, or I want a 1,000-yard dog. I want a dog that intelligently hunts the cover. I want a dog that, when the cover says to, cut loose and to stretch out, we'll do that. And when it doesn't, that pulls it back a little bit.
That's good. So, that's a sign. It sounds like the sign of a smart dog then, where it can kind of adapt quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's one trait that I'm placing the most importance on, it is, that intelligence. But, I do like a dog that will get out there and, cover some ground, get out there, and I had to put a number on it, get out there a couple 100 yards. But I don't want a dog that's, half a mile hunting for themselves.
Sure.
And I want a dog that's gonna check back in with me and, not forget that, they're out there with me and to hunt for me.
Yeah. Sorry, last big question, kind of maybe before we wrap things up here, just on that intelligence piece, because I think that can get thrown around quite a bit. What exactly? So we talked about, maybe adapting to cover well, and that might be a key of a smart dog. What's some other I guess maybe tangible things that the everyday person could kind of cue in on that you think would lead to, hey, that's a very intelligent dog, versus the next one down the street? What are, I guess, just some cues or some signs that you think they would show?
A dog that hunts likely objectives, a dog that says, hey, I've found birds there in the past, or I've found birds in similar cover in the past. Might want to check, that out a little bit and not just, blow straight past it. A dog that doesn't outrun their nose. For me, so I've got these, and I start looking for it early. And, I've got these little puppies out here behind me now. And one of those dogs, when I go to open a bag of dog food, she runs through a kennel. She knows that that's where she eats. To where the other dogs, the other puppies, they'll be climbing all over the bag of food and, acting crazy, climbing up the walls and, doing all this, to where the other dog, she goes to her kennel and she waits patiently to be fed. That kind of tells me that she's thinking a little bit. And that same dog, when I take her to the bird field, every single time that we go down there, so let's see, she is 16 weeks old now. She probably saw her first bird at, let's say, 9 weeks old, roughly. She hits that same place to where she found that first bird 7 weeks ago.
Wow.
She hits that spot every time. She hits, most of the spots where she's found birds in the past when she gets down there. So that's, those are, a few things that tell me that, a young dog is thinking.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And that food thing, especially, that she's thinking far enough ahead, kind of differently than the other pups. Thinking, hey, this is where he puts the food every day. That's where I'm going to wait.
This is where I eat. I don't eat, excuse me, halfway up the wall or, on top of the table or, on top of the food bag. I eat in my crate, and, she runs there and, she waits patiently to be fed. And I like that.
That's fascinating, man. Thanks for sharing that. That kind of blew my mind even.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, man. As we wrap things up, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone going into their first season? Maybe they just picked up their own bird dog, their first bird dog. What's something you'd give to them heading into their first season?
Do what you can with what you have, and tell yourself every day that today is one day, and the grand scheme of a 10, 12, 14 year process. Like a dog, you're not going to break a dog in a day. You're not going to do this in a day. You're not going to do anything in a day. So, take every day and, try to do something beneficial for that dog. But, know that you're not going to make huge leaps and strides in, the matter of one day or in the matter of, 2, 3, or even a week for that matter,
It's a journey. It's a process. It takes time. It takes work. It's not going to happen overnight.
Absolutely. And enjoy the journey. Enjoy the process. It should be fun. It is fun. just enjoy your time with your dog. And, when September 1st gets here, enjoy your time in the field. Your dog's not going to do everything right every time. Even the best dogs aren't. Just appreciate your dog for what it is.
That's good, man. That's really good. Thank you. All right. Last thing we'll wrap up here. We do a rapid fire a section here. So I'm just going to list off a few questions. Give me your short answer. You can expand. You can expand if you need to, but we'll go from there. Solo hunt with you and your dogs, or a group hunt with friends?
Solo with me and the dog. So I find that, when I go out with, a guy, even a few guys, and I expect, I really found this to be true, when I was out west and all of my buddies from Georgia were, flying into Denver and, taking a week off from work and, doing all of this stuff to come hunt birds. And they're not coming those guys aren't coming for dog work. They're not coming to watch you train your dog. They're coming to kill birds. And training dogs and killing birds don't go hand in hand. So for me, it's solo. I get the, if the dog does a good job and, I get the opportunity to come in there and put the bird up and kill it, and the dog does what I wanted it to, I'm going to be very happy to shoot that bird. But, at this point, especially having all these young dogs, I don't expect to go out and kill birds, every time, or at least depending on who's on the ground. So for me, it's going to be solo.
Right on. I'm going to take a quick detour and just ask you a follow up on that. So are you, you're out, you and your dogs, are you going to be pretty diligent about passing on a shot, depending on how your dog put that bird up or pointed that bird? Oh
yeah, for sure. If I got a young dog come in there and, knock birds, I'm definitely not shooting that bird and rewarding that dog for doing a crap job with, $1 million payday.
Right on, man. That's discipline. That's discipline.
Yeah. And you have to be if you're going to train a dog to a high level, I think.
Yeah, you can't give them an inch and they get that reward, and like you said, they're like, hey, payday.
Yeah,
let me try that next time.
They'll take a mile.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, next question. If not a setter, Brittany, or a pointer, what's your fourth favorite dog breed?
Well, I told you earlier that I'm getting.
I know. I should say excluding Cocker as well, because I know you're going to get one.
I am getting Cocker and or Springer Curious. So I believe that one or the other will probably be the next breed of dog that I bring in.
Very nice. Bringing in the Flushing dog. I like it.
Yeah, like I said, I just like the thought of having the right tool for every job.
Yeah, that's right. That's awesome. What gun are you carrying out into the uplands and why?
So it depends. Sometimes I'll take my granddad's, 120 or 130 year olds, single shot 16 gauge out, just to be a little sentimental, I guess.
Yeah.
I like my, CZ wing shooter elite in 20 gauge. And I've got a few other guns that I'll carry out from time to time.
You like a healthy rotation.
I do. Yeah. Just like with the dogs.
Yes. There's a theme here. I can tell.
Yeah, definitely.
What Upland vest are you rocking?
I would just wear the old tried and true Filson.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not a huge gearhead. I think that a lot of guys place too much importance on their gear and not enough importance on their dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know you're kind of talking to one of those guys sometimes. I can be that way. I'll admit it.
Guys are, and it's easy to do. But for me, if I'm spending money, it's either going to be, in gas for the truck to get the wild birds or, on the dog.
Dang, man, you got your priorities right. I love it. Okay. Just two more. Pick one upland bird. What's your favorite species to hunt?
Well, you probably gathered that I'm fond of the Blue Grouse for their, unique nature. And in the, for the beautiful places that they live. but it's probably going to be sharp-tails for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I like sharp-tails. I think that, early season sharp-tails and sage grouse as well are both, pretty conducive to good dog work.
Yeah. I would say I like it because the terrain, I can generally see the dog well. Yeah. It's open, it's rangy, they hold well.
Yeah.
That's why I like them the most.
Yeah. And, I say that I like to hunt blue grouse, but in reality, my Brittany is really the only proper tool for that job. Sure. I hate, having my dog 200 or 300 yards away in the woods, whether that be, blue grouse woods or the rough grouse woods. But I certainly appreciate the bird for what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Beverage of choice after a hunt or a long day of training?
Cold IPA.
Cold IPA. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any good Georgia beers you found down there?
Yeah, there are a few. So we've got Sweetwater. I really enjoy Sweetwater 420.
Okay.
And there are a few others as well. But when we were in Fort Collins, we were kind of in the brewery, microbrewery mecca.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome here.
With Odell and New Belgium and all the other microbreweries and in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you need me to ship you any, let me know. All right, brother.
Let's do. I'll take a Rupture and Citrodelic, please.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Yeah, I think UPS will ship that, right? All right, Anthony. Well, thanks so much for your time, man. This has really been a blast getting to know you a little bit more and just chatting dogs. And this could go, I'm sure, a lot longer. But we both got families and kiddos and all that good stuff. So it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Same here. And good luck with the new baby coming in September. And hopefully you also get a little hunting in.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to following along with you and all the dogs that you've got now.
Yeah, thanks, man. I might be reaching out for some training tips here and there.
Call anytime. Probably not the best guy to call, but I'll answer.
All right. Oh, cool. Well, that's awesome, man. Thanks so much and take care.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, that is a wrap of episode 19 with Anthony. Dude, thank you so much. That was a blast recording. Anthony and I have continued just to stay in touch, connect, just about hunting and that. Even since we recorded, really have built a cool friendship there. So Anthony, thanks again, man. That was a blast. Hey guys, don't forget, leave an Apple rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Really helps this show get out there to more hunters just like you. Last thing I was going to say is make sure you're doing something this week. Get your dog ready. Get yourself ready for season. I know we're just about 10 days away from September, so if you're out chasing grouse or have plans to, just start that gear list, start that packing list. Get the dogs out still. It's not too late to get them running around. Don't push them too hard. Don't push them too hard, though. We don't want any injuries coming up before season. So just be smart about it, but get them out there. Keep them moving, keep them conditioned, keep them fed well. So anyways, that's all I got for you, episode 19. Guys, take care. If you're not hunting with a Brittany, it's okay. Any bird dog is better than no bird dog. I promise. Just get out there, put some miles on those boots. Take care.